Welcome to Peck, brothers. If you're new here, we're turning our Chinese mini truck into an off-road recovery vehicle that's hopefully somewhat reliable.
We're not known for building very reliable things around here.
Yeah, we don't have a very good track record so far. But right off the bat this week, we've got big problems. It's flipping freezing up here in Idaho, and we are completely out of wood. And this wood-burning stove is the only source of heat that we have in the shop. I thought for sure the huge load that we went and got this last fall would have been enough. I thought that flippin' beaver said spring was coming early. Now that it's warm enough in here, me and Alex can actually feel our face. We're ready to get to work.
Yeah, you guys are killing it right now.
I said we're ready to get to work. No, we're getting to work. Here's the thing. The off-road games are next week, and we were planning on taking the mini truck here to compete with, but as usual, our timeline is way off. I don't know what we were thinking. But Matt still wants us to bring this puppy down for everybody to see. So we can't have it standing up on jack stands and held up by ratchet straps. So by the end of this video, this puppy should be loaded on the trailer, ready to go to the off-road games. Which means Alex has a lot of work to do.
We're going to be resourceful and use a section of the back part of the F350 frame that we use on the mini truck. About this much is going to be used for our motor mounts. We just got done building the cradle here that's going to go under the oil pan and up to the frame rails. Alex made these plates that are going to weld on right here to bolt to our frame rails. And what's nice about this design is once the bolts are out, this thing will drop underneath and the motor could come out the bottom if it ever needed to. We did this so we could drop it out the bottom because you just never know what the future has in store, and if we would have just welded it up,
chances are the motor would have blew the first run out.
yeah, and we would have just ended up having to cut it off and stuff. I don't know if we're gonna, yeah, I don't know.
So the nice part about having this thing is the motor sits in here, and we'll just have our motor mounts that go right to here on bushings. So they're nice and easy.
It also works out awesome with the cradle because the frame has so much flex in it. Now the cradle is going to add some rigidity to the frame right there and make it so when the frame does flex and tweak, it's not stressing on the motor mounts or on the block of the engine.
So after a lot of measuring, a lot of grinding, a lot of welding, I'm kind of nervous to put it in there and see if it fits. But it's time to see.
The other problem is we only have 4 stripped out 1/2-inch bolts. So we can only hold it in place for so long. We're going to have to run to town and get some.
So far, so good. Right there. That's going to work perfect. We kind of came down with this design too as well because we have a drive line that's coming through right here. So hopefully that clears.
The cool part's now when we come down off a ledge, the motor's so far back, it would have smacked the rock. Now that's just going to hold it or protect it. So now we're not going to have a bashed in oil pan.
We don't have the bolts that we need to mock this thing up and get it done, so it's tomorrow. Well, Caleb showed up this morning with all the bolts that we needed, and I sanded everything down and got it all squared up where it needs to be, and it's about ready to be completely sitting on its own except for one last piece. We got our cradle, and we got our poly bushings on our engine block, and now we just need this piece to connect them.
So while Alex is cutting out the pieces that we need to mount the motor to the cradle, we're going to tear apart this transfer case.
In a nutshell, we can't slide this over our adapter because the output shaft on the transmission is too big to fit in this splined hole. So we've got to put a new input shaft in this transfer case in order to slip it on the adapter.
If we can't get the right input shaft until we know which input shaft this one is, because there was like a couple of different ones in these years. So this all has to come out before we can even order the right part anyways.
I'm gonna be honest. I've never taken one of these apart. So I can't promise that it's going to go together right. I have taken apart an Atlas, and when we got it back in, it seized the rear output shaft because the bearing was too tight. So this is a little bit different design that I'm used to, so I'm hoping that's not going to be the case with this one.
In the very first Jeep that I built, that we had a Dana 300 in it, and I'm pretty sure we had that thing apart like every other week. That thing was always broke. So we've got experience with more than one transfer case, but never a chain-driven NP241 like this, Dane.
I like to put bolts back in where they go, just because sure as you know what, if they're not back in, they're going to be lost.
Before Brady gets too far into this thing, I want to explain why we did this specific transfer case in MP241C. The coolest thing about it is they're kind of like belly buttons. Everyone's got one. You can get them for dirt cheap. They came in just about everything. And Tom Woods actually makes a slip yoke eliminator kit for this transfer case. From the factory, they've got this little cover here, and that basically just protects this spline shaft. But your drive line is hooked to a slip yoke sort of thing like this, then you got a U-joint the rest of your drive line. The problem is when you're articulating a bunch, this thing, as it goes in and out for your axle travel, it can slip out, fall out, and then you're in trouble. And they're not as strong because your pivot point comes clear out here, and there's no bearing right up against where all this pressure is extended out. If that made any sense. A slip yoke eliminator kit takes this little yoke right here and puts it clear in, so your pressure and load is kept right where the bearing is. And it makes it so all of the slippage is in the drive line. And it gives you a longer drive line. So it's freaking cool that Tom Woods makes a kit that turns this transfer case that honestly isn't that special into something that you could throw in a mini wreck, or you throw in, your Jeep or anything on a budget. The only downside about this transfer case is it only has a 2.7 2-to-1 low range, to where my transfer case is a 4.3 to 1, Alex's is 3.8, Brady's is like a 2.0. So if you're running a 4-speed, this thing might be geared a little bit high, but we're planning on going fast in this mini truck, so we're good. Yes. There it goes. That's pretty complicated.
You remember that shirt that we put out a while back that says we're pretty good at taking things apart?
Yes.
That's about where we're at here. Here's our kit from Tom Woods. We're looking for a specific part. I don't know what part we're looking for, but just one that looks like one that we pulled off. Oh, look at that. Installation.
Oh, we don't need that.
That's nice. Well, I think I found it.
Oh, there we go.
That bad boy.
Wow.
Well, this piece right here replaces this one. So now we just got to try to figure out how to get it in there.
I just got done making these beveled, weird angled pieces that has to sit in. We're gonna go see if they actually fit.
Hey, dude.
It's fitting pretty good. There we go.
Dude.
Just like that.
That is sick.
Fits perfect.
It looks like it's time to get those puppies welded on.
Careful, SpongeBob! Careful, SpongeBob! SpongeBob, careful!
Well, that's what they call the planetary gears. So this is what houses our input shaft. So this is what has to get changed out. And we needed to know what this bearing surface diameter was to order the new shaft. So that's why that had to come out.
All of that work for that one thing. That's nuts.
Crazy.
What the flip are you doing here? You never even come see us anymore.
Well, you guys have been working so late, you're usually in bad moods.
She's the manager here.
Yeah,
she
I
never
came to whip
shows
you
up.
guys into shape.
But we finally got her here, and she's been making us work.
Hey, I got it.
No way.
There it is. Wow. I hope I remember that goes there.
Yeah, we've got all sorts of parts all over there. We got all sorts, I mean...
I'm pretty sure I remember. I'm pretty sure. But there's our shaft. We just need to measure it and order it up. Well, the plan here is to get this thing put back together minus the input shaft. And I don't really want to do it, so maybe you two could help. Oh, let's put it in.
Yeah, I'll meet you over there.
Ah.
We put the transfer case on, and where the drive line would hook on the front would run right into the crossmember we have to build. So we're going to take this adapter and try to flip it upside down so it mounts from up here, so we can build a mount up here that will hang it. We're just not sure if it's reversible, so we figure we might as well try. Let's see if this works.
Hey.
I'm calling not.
Nope.
What? Why?
Dang it.
They're
Bolt
not.
holes don't line up.
So they're not symmetrical.
No. So all that, like the last 2 hours you've been telling us we need to flip the adapter, it ain't flippable.
You owe us each like $20.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, a personal check.
At least everybody though in the comments that would have told us that, at least we showed them that it wouldn't work.
All right, guys, this new little...
That flipping door, dude, I'm gonna lose it.
This gadget from Fantic just showed up at the shop. It's a little battery-powered compressor / light / charging thing. They say it can air up a 35-inch like F-150 tire from 30 to 40 PSI in under a minute.
I don't know if I buy it. That thing's freaking tiny. So we're gonna test it out on a 37-inch tire and see if it lives up to what they say it will do.
Believe it or not, this 37 is the smallest tire we have around here.
Doesn't that thing have a light on it too?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. So right here it tells you what your tire's at, and this will tell us your target. So we're gonna go up to 40.
We're 2 minutes and 7 seconds, so it's about a minute every 5 pounds.
So for having a 13.5-inch wide tire and a 37, that's not bad.
For how little it is, I thought we'd be here all night.
The other cool feature about this thing is it has 2 USB-C outputs. So you can charge your phone, we can charge the camera, we can charge all sorts of stuff on the go. If you're wanting to pick one of these things up, this is the Fantic X9 Ultra. The link is in our description for it. Thank you, Fantic, for sponsoring today's video.
All right, so after doing some planning and figuring out how to do the crossmember for this transfer case, we've got to run to town to get some steel. And town is like 30 minutes away, so if we're going to run to town, we're going to make it worth our time. And that brings us to our next set of problems. For the off-road games, we got partnered with Sean from Bikes and Beards. He lives, breathes, and eats motorcycles.
So I think it's pretty obvious who won.
This guy might actually eat motorcycles. He literally is like 6'3". He's huge.
And if you don't know, the crazy thing about the off-road games is Sean has never driven a Jeep off-road before. He doesn't have any experience. And he's gonna be the one driving this Jeep through a series of trails down in southern Utah. And we thought it's only right if we make him feel at home in this Jeep. So what we're gonna do is take the steering wheel off, and we're gonna make a set of handlebars that steers the Jeep so he won't crash.
The logic seems to work out pretty good there, I think. If you're about to type that I'm absolutely nuts to let Sean drive my Jeep up a trail because he doesn't know exactly what he's doing, don't worry about it. There's nothing that Sean will do to my Jeep or could do to my Jeep that I haven't already done. I'm mostly worried because my Jeep's usually always broken, and if we're the ones holding everybody up on the trail, we're gonna look like idiots.
So long story short, we're going to town to get steel for the Crossmember for the mini truck and stuff to make handlebars for the Jeep.
All right, we picked up the steel that we need to fabricate the handlebars. Now we just got to pick up some grips. So we ran over to our local dealer. We got to see what kind of grips they have. And every time you come to the dealer, you've got to check out the fresh bikes.
You probably don't know this, but all three of us have been riding dirt bikes since we were like 3 years old.
I'm going to come in here one day and I'm going to just grab one of these 450s and be like, I'm taking this home.
How are you going to pay for it?
Well,
You can't just take them.
no, I'll bring Brady. Look at the pit bikes.
Oh, it's got Jet's number.
Let's go.
That's freaking sick.
Dude,
That fits you better than the other
it
one.
really does, dude. If you guys want to see us do more with dirt bikes or would like to see that more on the channel, let us know in the comments.
We love Jeeps and off-roading, but dirt bikes, it's a close second. All right, enough dreaming. Let's get some grips.
I mean, these guys here, pretty cheap.
How much?
It should work. I want to say they're $15.
You guys finance?
Not for this.
All right, let's get back to the shop.
We need to catch you guys up on everything that's happened. So this bend pack 12,000 pound lift just showed up that we were not ready for. And all three of us are so pumped we can't even freaking believe it, but we're all roached at the same time because we can't put it up. We literally do not have enough time to get this thing up before we leave. So this puppy is going up right when we get home from the record games. And the same day, our local Miller rep showed up at the shop and gave us all of this safety equipment. He basically said he was worried about our safety because we're rolling around with super sketchy equipment. Our gloves all have holes in them. We usually plaz with no goggles. Alex always has a sunburn from welding. And we're breathing toxic fumes and grinding dust that's probably going to give us cancer. So huge shout out to Miller for increasing our life expectancy. And the last thing is, this literally all happened on the same day. We had a subscriber ship us out some of these little covers for the Pro 6 KC headlights. Not headlights, these are...
Those are not headlights.
Yeah, these aren't headlights.
Try again.
I don't know what they're called. They go up right here. This guy 3D printed this whole thing, shipped them out to us. We're all pumped about it because there's a couple of sets. Huge thank you to Stefan for sending these out.
Can you quit talking and let's just do something?
Yeah, you and everyone else in the comments is begging for that to happen.
A little less talk and a lot more action.
We're going to get back to work on the mini truck making the transmission Crossmember.
Do you know what you're doing?
I taught you how to do what you're
You
doing.
didn't teach me nothing.
This is called working. You ever done it?
No.
While you and Alex were playing patty cake in town, getting this stuff, I was actually getting stuff done.
For the record, we only played patty cake once.
This is what I've got so far. The plan here is this is going to go up over the top of the transmission, and then these are going to turn and go straight out and get welded to the frame rail. Then we're going to make a little cradle that goes underneath to the bottom part of our adapter, so it kind of hangs in this little area. Normally we don't show you guys how we actually build these, but essentially all you do is just take these off, and now you're ready to bend them. Oh. Okay, there's a better way to bend.
I think it's worth just snapping this in.
Now all we got to do is square it up and weld it, and it's about ready to go in.
All right, I got all of the crap ground off. I mean, they don't look good because I had to plaz these. But this cab can finally fold down on top of the motor and we're not going to crush the intake. So Brady's getting really close to having the Crossmember done, and he just had a good idea.
I had to weld on these tabs for our bottom cradle that will go under and mount the adapter. And Alex came over here and said he can weld better than me. So we're going to have a weld off, and you guys can be the judges of whose you think looks the best and will be the strongest.
I think now that we have some helmets that we can see out of, our welds might get a little bit better. So we're going to see who is actually the better welder now that we can see.
The rule here is there are no rules. I just made a rule. No grinding your welds. They have to stay on the truck
That's
forever.
fine. Just to let everybody know, I haven't MIG'd in a long time.
Here comes the excuses.
So I'm not making excuses a little bit.
That sounded pretty good. That ain't bad.
Why is it doing that?
You just don't know how to weld.
Well, we've got a little different approach here.
I like my weld puddle to fall. I feel like that works a little bit better.
Well, that's how a MIG should look.
It ain't as straight as yours, but
It's a little wavy, but I would probably put my money on that one.
decide whose welds you like more in the comments.
Now it's time to go see what this looks like under the truck. I haven't seen what this looks like in there.
It's not gonna lie, it's pretty cool. I think it turned out pretty good. Caleb came out here and told me that he had a different idea, and his idea would have been better, but we're going with this one.
So the reason that we had to go up and over because our drive line is right here. And if we were to go under where it mounts right here, it wouldn't work with this. So what we did is we're going to make a bracket that comes down that mounts to this, that's completely out of the way of the drive line. And it's also removable. So this will stay in place. This bracket will be able to drop down. We haven't been able to set the cab down because of where we mounted the motor. It hit all up in there. It hit the front. It hit everything. So now that it's cut, hopefully we don't have to cut more.
Hey, I didn't hear anything hit.
While Brady and Alex are getting the transmission Crossmember finished up for the mini truck, I gotta show you something about my Jeep that could possibly kill somebody at the off-road games.
Whoa!
That ain't good.
That's scary.
That's terrifying. First-hand experience driving this thing, the throttle sticks like crazy when it's cold. Most of the reason is because I was ball hauling up the sand dunes last time we were out with my Jeep and bouncing and, flying up the dunes. Everything was jiggling around and my throttle cable came up and it hit the bottom side of my exhaust and burned it like super bad. So as the cable moves through the loom stuff, it gets caught and it doesn't like to come back through, resulting in an absolutely terrifying vehicle to drive. The cool thing is Low Car sent us out a new throttle cable to hook up on this thing. And this one should protect us more so, at least, from what happened, because it's stainless steel on the outside. So we got to make sure that this thing gets routed right, zip tied out of the way, so my Jeep doesn't end up taking Sean for a ride.
We just got the Crossmember all completely done, and it's finally completely bolted up and tight. It should clear everything that we need it to clear, like the front drive line, all the adapter bolts, and the shifter linkage. And it turned out way heavier duty than we actually planned. Normally you do those out of, 3/16. We use like 3/8 steel on most of it. So it ain't going anywhere. I know that for a fact.
After all that cutting and grinding and fitting, this motor finally squeezes in here. And it looks so cool. We got billet fuel rails, the small LS2 intake. This thing looks like a rocket.
That is a lot of motor packed into a little truck.
I am so stoked that we are at this point right now because we've been busting butt for weeks on end, and this should have been done 3 weeks ago. But the one thing we can say about it, it's flat, it's square, It's at the right angle. Our driveline's going to work. Everything is the way that we hoped that it would when we mocked it up. So, of course, we want it to be further along, but the good news is it's going to the record games, and this thing's, for the first time, is going to get pulled out of the garage in this video and loaded up on the trailer. Holy flip, this thing's on the trailer.
I have a feeling we're gonna need to strap the body down.
Oh yeah, I was doing this for sure.
I'm kind of worried about the boom a little bit. It's not real substantial. This is starting to look like an insect now, more than a tow truck.
The mini truck's dealt with, but we still have a ton more to do before we can leave.
And lucky for us, the stuff we actually have to do is pretty fun.
If you've been watching the channel for a while, it's no front page news that this Jeep is always broke down. We break this thing almost every time we go out. The last big break that we've had on this thing was the front driver's side axle shaft. We grenaded it. That's an axle shaft.
What?
Oh my gosh.
So we got home and band-aided it all together with a stock F350 shaft that had probably 300,000 miles. It was all rusted out and the U-joints were a little loose. So it's a matter of time before that thing pops, and then we're in big trouble.
Between mine and Caleb's Jeeps, we've probably busted like 6 shafts in the past year. And the last one that I broke, it took out my wheel bearing, my hub, my ball joint. It cost me like $800 or $900 worth of crap. And we're sick of having this problem, and especially we don't want it to take us out of the off-road games.
But we're about to show you the remedy to all of our problems. After a buttload of research, we decided to ball out on a set of RCVs. With having somebody driving my Jeep that like doesn't have experience or somebody that I don't know or whatever, the only thing that I would be worried about is a front axle shaft. Now my whole front axle's officially stronger than the rest of my Jeep. And you're putting these in. So while Alex is putting in these RCVs into my Jeep, me and Brady are going to start building the handlebars for it.
This is the old turd that keeps breaking. It's got this old nasty U-joint in there. It's just gross. This is the new shaft. These are 300M steel, which is like the strongest you can get. Plus it's a CV joint instead of a U-joint. The cool thing about these is even when they're turned, they don't hop like a U-joint, and they're as strong turned as they are going straight.
These handlebars are almost done. We've just got to conjoin these two pieces, but we want to figure out if we want to put them in there on a little bit of an angle or straight or back or whatever we're going to do. So we got to see what it looks like in the Jeep.
Let's see. All right, so the hub still fits.
Hub still works.
That's good. That's awesome.
Dude, that is going to be sick. We're going to have to cut some of this off.
You gotta remember, Sean is huge. He's like 6'1".
Yeah, he's massive, dude. All right.
Come on, baby.
This is the moment of truth right here. Dude.
That is so cool.
Ray, come look at this.
Let me guess. They're sick.
This is sick. Exactly.
Sick.
Flip.
Dude, look at how cool these are. Think it'll start?
Probably not.
And there we go.
Oh, no way.
Dude.
Yeah.
So sick, dude.
He's gonna feel right at home.
Oh, 100%. Alex got the RCVs in this thing. The throttle no longer sticks. It's got a new throttle cable. Ray, this thing's pretty much ready to go, right?
Your Jeep, I don't know. I don't know what problems it's got.
It was sputtering last time we started it. It doesn't run that good. It could just be a little cold.
She's ready to load on the trailer. We're going to get out of here, head to Sand Hollow, and we will see you guys down there.
Is there like a key?
No, it's just the button on your right hand.
Button?
You got to not put it in gear.
Put her neutral.